Hi, this is Ken Sagos. I play Kincaid in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and 4 on the Great Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast. This is episode number 356, where tonight we will be talking about 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street in honor of its 40th anniversary. Can you believe it, ladies and gentlemen? 40 years since Wes Craven's classic shined in the annals of horror history. I'm here, of course, as always, with Steve and Todd. Todd, happy Veterans Day, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, of course. Also, I believe we're done with the final episode, Indiegogo. But any updates as far as the final episode?
All right, so as of right now, you're listening to this recording. You will not be able to give us any more cash. Actually, I think that's wrong. I think it goes into overtime mode if you hit your goal, but I guess we'll see what we do. But yeah, we're at 4,718 bucks over. That's 117% funded with 71 backers. And as of this recording, as I look at it right now, we have 12 hours left. But like I said, you won't be able to see that. Let's do it, man. Let's get this movie fucking going, man. Thank you everybody for helping us. It's gonna be awesome. We're pumped, and I got so much stuff I need to get, and I just can't wait to click the button on purchase and get those props in here, man.
Hell yes. And Steve, what's new with you? I see. I mean, you get these themed rooms going. Everyone's going crazy about them, Jaws and Killer Clowns. But what else you got going on?
It's my final week of like actually moving. So after this, at least I'll be in my own house, just, my family. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I am starting to work on my next themed room, which will be Ghostbusters themed. So I'm turning my gym into a Ghostbusters themed room. I just got my 3/4 size Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. So it's this giant painting that's going to hang in that room. And I'm really looking forward to doing it. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of like gyprock and like fake, stone walls and stuff like that. So it'll be it'll be cool. It'll be fun to do, but it's a big undertaking. So it's going to take a while for me to get to it.
Is it pumping makes you feel good? Is that
Yes.
gonna be the new version of
That's right,
this?
Love
yes.
that. Love that.
It's funny actually. My wife was gonna show me something that suggested her on Instagram. It was your Jaws bathroom. Like that's fucking Steve. So your room like is getting suggested by the algorithm. So it's fucking cool, man. It's like I said in
That's
the private
awesome.
chat. I mean, I love the Jaws room. The Killer Clowns is awesome. I think the Killer Clowns is the best thing I've ever seen in a horror
I,
collection.
I
Like it just
appreciate
laid
it.
out so fucking cool.
Yeah,
Love it. I want to live there, dude.
one of the biggest compliments I got was from one of my friends. I sent him the room, and he's like, "Oh, is that what you're gonna model your room after?" Because he thought I just got it off like the internet. I'm like, no, that's actually
That's some Etsy shit
that's
right there,
fine.
dude.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
worked hard on it, but well, not really. I paid someone to work hard on it, but well, I did the Killer Clowns one we did ourselves. It's the Jaws room because that's like fucking
Right.
tile and shit, and I didn't want to deal with
Right.
it. But yeah. Yeah, looking forward to doing the rest of the house the same way. It's very timely, so it's gonna take a while.
Badass. Yeah. I mean, keep an eye on our Instagram as Steve sends us photos. I'll continually update with pictures over on our Instagram and our Facebook and whatnot. Just Horror Squad Podcast and of course the Discord, as you already all know. I myself, what did I do? I attended a horror con, but I'm gonna save that for what watched. I'll do that as like sort of my breakdown during what watched because I didn't really have time to watch any movies. But we did watch Thanksgiving, and a little bit of Night of the Demons 2 action as well, during the con, which was always fun. But I've talked about those before. Alrighty, then, gentlemen, I think that's it for our intro. So let's get into what watched. Gentlemen, what you been watching this week?
All right, so my first one is a Shudder 2024 release called Mads, and that's from France. And essentially, I don't want to give a lot away. They try to do the cinematography of like a one-shot film, where they follow characters around and the cameras, it's one shot, it's one take. It's not, but it looks pretty cool. But it follows like he's like a little rich boy, a little spoiled. He's really popular. The ladies love him, the dudes love him. His dad pays for like this little penthouse he's got, shit like that. And he's driving home from his friend's house. He just did some coke, and then he pulls over, and this girl comes out, and she's like dressed in like a medical garb, and she's incoherent. He's like, "Do you need help? Oh my God!" And she starts fucking bleeding all over the place. And of course, it's an infection movie. It's kind of like a zombie movie, right? And then we follow this character as he goes to like parties and he spreads the virus and things like that. I know this is getting a lot of hype online. And for some stuff, I agree with. Like, it's really cool the way they shot it, the way they planned it, things like that. However, if you're going to be a zombie movie, you got to have cool zombies, man. And I just was annoyed as fuck the entire time these zombies were on screen. It wasn't the actor's fault or anything like that. It wasn't the effects, no. It was just they have these specific mannerisms that they do. Where they kind of look like they're spazoids, like they're literally like shaking their heads around, their hands are getting jittery, things like that. They're randomly making noises like screams and things like that, and I just not like it. I thought it was really annoying, grating on the soul. So is it going to be in my top 10? No, I gave it a 3 out of 5 over on Letterboxd. I didn't hate it, I just didn't love it, and I guess like I said, the zombies was a major factor in that. So 3 out of 5 over on Shutter. That's Mads.
All right. So my first one this week is the November edition of, people on our Discord asked me to review something, one per month, and this one was recommended by Katie, and that is 1992's Winter Beast, which I watched over on a brand new streaming service that I got called Trauma Now, which is Trauma's in-house thing. It's only like $50 a year or $5 a month, so it's actually pretty good. And they have it's not just Trauma movies on there either. They got a bunch of like classic horror films that really you can't find anywhere else. So highly recommend it for that. So Winter Beast is basically a story of people live like in a mountainous area. It's winter and people are starting to die off and they think that it's some kind of like indigenous spirit that's taking people, and the kind of town sheriff and the office are trying to figure out who's doing all the killing. And turns out that it's a bunch of fucking super weird creatures that are attacking the city and killing everyone. And that's really the gist of it. It's hour 17 minutes, which is perfect runtime for a movie. What I really appreciate about this film is that they use like all the tricks in the book. They use stop motion, they use practical effects, they use puppets, they use a little bit of like really shitty CGI because it's 1992. And honestly, it's like a lot of fun to see the creativity that they've done with this movie. Is the movie good? Yeah, it's fine. The kills aren't particularly spectacular, and the story's a little bit dull, and the acting's pretty terrible. So I wouldn't say it's like an amazing movie and one that you should rush out to see. But if you're looking for something that's really quick and easy and could see some cool creatures, you could do worse than this film. So that's Winter Beast, which I gave, I think, a 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Okay, my next one is another 2024 release. I'm trying to get to those 2024s, man. It's crunch time. And it's over on Shudder, and it's called Oddity. So essentially, we have like a 30s, 40s couple, something like that, age-wise, and one of them's a doctor. He works night shift, and they have like this estate out in the random middle of the woods. And one night, and he's a mental health doctor, by the way, so he deals with like patients that have psychiatric problems, things like that, like severe problems. And anyway, she's out in her house by herself, and this random guy, he's creeping out. He goes up to the door and he's like, "You need to let me in. When you went out to your car, I saw someone sneaking in your house, and you're like with her. You're trying to figure out like, is this guy a fucking killer? Is he gonna come do something to me? Is it really someone in the house? I don't know. Let's fucking find out." Flash forward a little bit. And this happens within the first 5 minutes, not really a spoiler. She has passed away, and now we are following her husband, who's the doctor, and he has a new girlfriend, and he's trying to live his life, and she has like this twin sister that's she's blind, but she also has kind of like a superpower where she can hold an object and get the object story, right? And she has like an oddity shop where like, oh, that's a haunted bell, and if legend says if you ring that bell, the bellboy who perished, his ghost will come and haunt you, things like that, right? So she gives this creepy fucking, the worst thing, scary as fuck thing, giant wooden mannequin that has like a screaming face or whatever, and she gives it to them as like a gift. And I'm like, fuck no, I'm not taking this what is your fucking problem? This is not coming to my house, but of course it's a horror movie. And then now the sister is trying to figure out, the blind sister is trying to figure out what actually happened to her sister. Do we have foul play involved? Was it as it seemed? Was it really like this weird serial killer or something that killed her? What was it? Who is it? Whatever. So we have to deal with her blindness and that weird creature, the new wife being a bitch, the husband being a fucking bitch, and this one guy that works for the husband also being a bitch. So Oddity, I really enjoyed this one, man. I was having a great time with it. I do agree. I did read Steve's review on Letterboxd, and I agree with it where it tries to take a little too much into the story. It has like little threads that go here and there that are cool. Like we have, oh, I want to know more about the blind sister and her power. I want to know about more about the killer in this. I want to know more about the guy that shows up at the beginning of the film. Like we have a lot of little things that are really cool, but they don't necessarily go anywhere. That being said, I think it's really effective. I really like the acting. The setting is creepy. That wooden statue thing is fucking terrifying. Like get that away from me. Light that shit on fire. So overall, yeah, I really dug it. I think I'm at a 4 out of 5 over on Shutter on this one. Shutter is down at this moment. I don't remember all my ratings, but it's definitely a top 10 contender, probably on the lower end. So that's Oddity on Shutter, either a 3.5 or a 4 for me.
All right, awesome. Letterbox is back, so that's going to help me for my second
there he
review. So my last review this week is a 2024 film that I watched over on Netflix, and that is Don't Move. So Don't Move is the story of a woman. She suffered a really traumatic experience where she lost one of her children and stuff like that. And she goes to a mountain and decides that, maybe life isn't worth living, and she wants to perhaps jump off the mountain and kill herself. But a man approaches her, and it's like in the middle of nowhere, and he's just like, "Look, I just want to talk to you." And he sits down and he kind of explains his story, and he basically tries to convince her not to jump, that just to like live one more day and then think things over, and just being like really trying his best to kind of make her survive. She decides, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give it one more day. So she hikes back down the mountain, and sure enough, the guy is parked right next to her. Like there's ample parking everywhere, but it's just those two cars. And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I just parked nearby," and everything like that. But of course, then he injects her with some kind of paralysis drug that takes 20 minutes to activate, and she gets away from him as he wants to kidnap her. And the rest of the movie is basically her trying to get away as she's fighting off paralysis slowly, and a bunch of like situations happen where she always just gets away, and then she gets caught, and then she gets away again, and all that stuff. Yeah, you've seen a ton of movies kind of like this. This is not really my type of movie. I don't like home invasion or kidnapping or any types of like movies like that. I don't know. I'm more in the supernatural portion of horror, is like more my thing. And I just found that this one didn't do anything new. It was very kind of predictable. It was a little bit unbelievable because at certain points she's like almost fully paralyzed, but she keeps like kind of moving around at the same time, and I wasn't really buying the whole paralysis thing. And I don't know, the situations were getting a little ridiculous there by the end, a little bit like Trap, I guess, where you're just like, I'm not buying this for a second. So I don't know, it was kind of just like fine. Like I didn't hate myself for watching it or anything like that, but it's not one I would personally recommend for your 2024 list. So I gave it 2 stars out of 5, and that is Don't Move over on Netflix.
Excellent. All right. All right. I'm going to do a full breakdown of Monster Mania that I just attended. However, I did want to shout out a filmmaker, a man by the name of James Taff. Sam and I actually were just sitting randomly, I think last Wednesday or Thursday. We usually walk downtown and grab coffee. And this guy just randomly was sitting next to us. And he's like, "Hey, man, he's like, I think he was talking to like his girlfriend or his wife or something. He's like, "I think I'm going to strike up a conversation with this man wearing this awesome Halloween sweatshirt next to me." And I like turned around. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And we got to talking, and I found out he's a big horror fan himself, and he's currently has a couple projects in the works. And I actually think I'm going to have him on the podcast because he's got a couple of pretty cool projects he's currently working on. The first one being Victim No More 2, which is actually a Friday the 13th fan film. Victim No More 1 came out. They just finished the Indiegogo for Victim No More 2, which is going to be coming out. And then more interestingly to me is a movie he has coming out called Scream Walkers, which is an homage to Scream slash the Stephen King movie Sleepwalkers, based on the Stephen King movie Sleep. And what I found really interesting about this is they created a special mask for it, which I'm actually going to send to you guys, and I'll send it in the Discord at some point as well. But they made this mask, but they actually reached out to Fun World, who of course created the Scream mask, to ask them if they were breaking sort of any copyright infringement laws and stuff like that. And Fun World loved the mask so much that they're like, we've been toying with like doing maybe like a cat themed ghost face mask, and they actually bought the rights to the mask, and they're actually going to be in stores next like Halloween season. So shout out to him for getting that like and stuff like that. So yeah, I think eventually we are going to have him on the podcast to sort of promote Scream Walkers and his Victim No More 2 films. But yeah, that his name is James Taff if you want to check it out. And I think Scream Walkers and Victim No More both have their own sort of Indiegogo pages. He also said they used to do it was sort of a kids themed horror show that never sort of took off the ground. But he said they did a lot of cons and stuff like that. So you might have, I can't remember the name of that one, but you might have seen these guys around before. But
I recognize
yeah,
him. I'm
pretty
looking
awesome.
at his
You do?
Indiegogo right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, nice. So very cool. All right. So yeah, shout out to him. And like I said, I think we'll get him on the pod at some point. All right. So let me do my full little breakdown here. I attended Monster Mania 61 over the weekend. This one, so I've only ever been to the Cherry Hill locations, but they just like 2 years ago decided to do a new show over in Oaks, Pennsylvania, which is about a half hour from Cherry Hill. This was their sort of decision to be like, well, if you guys, if the hotel's too much for you, because obviously they've outgrown the hotel, and it's, people who may have attended Texas Frightmare when it was at the hotel might understand what I'm talking about. They're like, okay, well, we're not going to leave the hotel because, we have feedback from fans who love the hotel atmosphere, the ambiance, but for fans that don't like that, we're going to move to a big convention center and give you guys a big convention center show too. So Sam and I decided to go this weekend and check out sort of this show at the convention center because, mainly because Gina Davis was going to be there, and then she canceled literally less than 24 hours before the convention because of all things, a snowstorm in her hometown of New Mexico, which most people were like, what? Snow in New Mexico? But yes, there was a state of emergency. Several feet of snow were dumped in New Mexico, so it wasn't, a bullshit excuse. But yeah, man, I gotta say it was a great show. The convention center was massive. I would say probably even bigger floor than Texas Frightmare weekend where they moved. The amount of vendors was insane. I didn't even get through all of them. Like I was like running through at the end on Saturday just to try to see them all. But a lot of amazing vendors. They have a completely separate panel room that is massive. The autograph room for the celebrities was like insanely like big, like you never felt like it's a great location, plenty of parking, and yeah, there's a bunch of hotels right in the area, so it's definitely a convention I will be returning to in the future. For those of you who definitely get claustrophobic or don't like cons, because of that, I would say this is a perfect location. It's in like essentially a massive warehouse, and massive, ceiling, so plenty of airflow and whatnot. So yeah. As far as celebrities I met on Friday, I met Ty West, of course, from X, Maxine, Pearl, The Sacrament, House of the Devil, and stuff like that. His line surprisingly wasn't too crazy, so that was a plus. I didn't know because I think this was his first convention he's ever done. He had a steady line most of the weekend, but I think I only waited maybe 10-15 minutes for him at most. But yeah, he was cool. He was nice. He's definitely more on the like sort of the quiet, reserved side, but he was very like forthcoming. I did ask him a few questions. I asked him like if he had a fascination with cults, because like when you think about it, all of his movies have to do with cults. And he's like, no, he's like, you would think so, but no, not at all. He's like, it just sort of happened that way, which I found to be like really interesting. He actually did say like with X, and when he did X and Pearl, like he never, like there was never a plan really for cults when he started making those, but then it sort of, went into that with Maxine more and stuff like that. And then I met Shawnee Smith, who is always, a delight. Of course, Amanda from the Saw franchise, and I had her. So Ty West and Shawnee Smith were added to my poster project to that. For those of you that know about that, I added both of
What's
them.
Ty West under?
He hasn't done anything on that poster, but I think he's an iconic horror director at this point, so I wanted to add him to it. So I put him because Eli Roth isn't on there either, and I added Eli Roth, so I put him right next to Eli Roth, like they signed right under each other. That's kind of how I've gone with this poster project. It's like, okay, like if I feel like you're poster worthy at this point, like, but you're not on there, like represented, I kind of put you off to the side because I added David Howard Thornton's on there as well, Art the Clown, of course, since he's the new icon, which I'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, so Ty West was great. Shawnee Smith, just a sweetheart. Man, like I got her at the end of the night, and I thought it was gonna be a really quick line, and man, she takes her time with people, so it ended up being a very long wait for her, but she was very sweet and great as well. Who else did I meet? Oh, I met also Lil Pale Girl on Friday as well. I had her sign my Little Pale Girl custom figure I have there. That was a very brief interaction because it's like a whatever 13 14-year-old girl. I'm just like, okay, like sign it and move on type thing. I didn't really have a conversation with her, but I wanted to get her on that figure because I thought that would be pretty cool. Yeah, and then we did a photo op with Eli Roth and Alex Armbruster, who of course plays John Carver in the stunt work and whatnot. He dressed up in costume as John Carver, and Eli Roth Sam wore a Thanksgiving apron, and I wore a pilgrim hat with an axe. So that photo came out pretty cool. You can see it on my Instagram, Joe Salsahar, if you want to see that. And then on Saturday, and then we did panels. So Friday there was a Terrifier 3 panel, which was pretty awesome. The whole cast was there. That was Damien Leone, David Howard Thornton, Samantha Scafitti, who plays Victoria, Jason Patrick, who is the father figure we come to find out in Terrifier 3, was and then Elliot Fullman, of course, who plays Todd's favorite, Jonathan. But yeah, so they were great. I mean, that was one of the best panels for sure. A lot of great information sort of on sort of the progression of Terrifier and sort of everything. It was Jason Patrick didn't need to be there though. He just fucking sat there and didn't say basically a single word the entire time because obviously all the questions for the most part were for Damien. Actually, I would say Damien more than David, but the both of them sort of took over that panel, Damien and David, and they gave a lot of stuff. Damien had some interesting stuff regarding 4 as far as, what is happening with that and whatnot. He's kind of like saying, just be patient with the story and we're going to get there. He said what I found to be most interesting is he said he was really stuck on a big component of how he was going to end this franchise. And he was basically like suffering from writer's block for a long time. But then he said like one morning he just it just hit him. And he said, like, it's going to be amazing. I don't know if there's going to be 5 or 4. They seem to be very non-committal about that. But, I mean, it does sound like this franchise is coming to an end sooner rather than later, which I find a bit surprising. But we'll see about that. And then we were going to attend the Shawnee Smith panel, but she was a half hour late to her panel. So we said, fuck that. And we left and got in line for celebrities instead. And that pretty much wrapped up Friday. And then Saturday, I will say Friday was really light on the crowd, but man, Saturday was fucking night and day difference. Saturday was packed to the gills, absolutely insane. And I'm assuming because Alec Baldwin was there on Saturday only, so I know a lot of people wanting to meet him. His line was insane, obviously, but I luckily had a line skip for him, so I only waited maybe about still a decent amount of time. I still waited about 30 to 45 minutes for him, but most people I think waited hours for him. He was very pleasant guy. Not really a horror person, but Beetlejuice, obviously I'm a big Beetlejuice fan, so definitely wanted to get him on a Beetlejuice autograph. I will say he definitely nickels and dimes people, which honestly always turns you off a bit for that. I mean, he's expensive, 120, but he is obviously an A-list actor, right? Or pretty close to it. If A- maybe, I don't know. Do you guys consider him A-list? I don't know. I kind of do.
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so because he conquered both movies and TV. So
right, yeah. So yeah, I mean he's a big actor. So 120 I felt like was like decent for him. But then it's like, okay, if you want a character name, that's an extra 20. And then if it's my prop, would I had him sign a handbook for the recently deceased book, so that was an extra 20. And
Why?
then
Explain this to me. I
there
complained
I
about this last
don't know.
time.
And then if you want a quote,
What
Todd,
gives?
it's for a quote, $60 for a
Why?
quote.
It's why. I can understand being like, hey, I'm not gonna write a paragraph. But
Right.
like, it doesn't matter if it's a poster or a fucking sock. It should be the same. You're not paying for the ink. Like,
It's the
I don't get it,
resellers.
man.
They care about the
What?
resellers.
Ugh.
I know.
Okay,
Right.
well, we need a bubble burst, man. I'm telling you, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think the bubble is coming. I think this bubble is going to burst sooner rather than later because you got people like Daniel Harris now charging $80 for an autograph and I think it was like 80 and like 120 combo. The prices, man, are just getting insane. I mean, good for like David Howard Thornton because his fucking line all weekend, he had by far the biggest line all weekend long. The whole cast, really all the Terrifier people, even Samantha Scafidi, which I was like, oh yeah, I'll be able to like get her pretty quick. I ended up using a line skip on her because her fucking line was insane all weekend. I mean, granted, like she was pretty like 1 and 1A with art like in this new movie, so I knew she was gonna have a decent line. But holy shit, I was not expecting her line. But David R. Thornton like was rivaling a Robert Englund line. Like it was fucking crazy insane. And kudos to him. Like currently only charging $50 for an autograph. Not bad for him. Like considering he's like a new icon, I feel like he could be charging probably 80 if he wanted to, and he'd probably get it. But yeah, kudos to them for that. But yeah, I don't understand it either. Like it sucks. Like nickel and diming people, it's like just have one set price, and it's like it's like yeah. So it ended up costing me, I think, because I did want the character name and like on it for what I'm kind of like picky on stuff like that sometimes, depending on the item. So yeah, it ended up costing me like 160 for his autograph, which is a lot, you know. And people, I mean, definitely like that. The normal fan and horror fan is definitely getting priced out of these conventions for sure. I mean, I was talking about this with my buddy Steve because we've been going to conventions, since we were 17, 18. And, back then, an expensive person was $40. Like, that was like, holy shit, $40? Like, that's fucking crazy, and now that's a cheap person. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even Ty West, man, $80 for an auto for Ty West. I mean, I don't know. That seems a little much for him. And 120 for a combo for him, like for a photo, like autograph photos, $120.
How much
You know?
was Miss Newton?
Catherine Newton was 80.
Fucking ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I
it's just
mean,
like I hate to sound like a complaining little turd, but it's like like I remember taking like $200 to my first con and getting
yeah,
Bruce Campbell, Bill Moseley, Sid, like a
sure.
shit ton of people. You take $200 now, you're lucky to get, you just quoted it, $120 for one person or
Yeah.
140. So it's like if you're a young kid or maybe, luckily we have the means to afford some of this stuff, but I'm like, what if you don't? That fucking sucks, man. Because I remember these are some of the best memories I had from when I was younger, is meeting these guys. So it's like,
Oh yeah, no, for sure. As like an 18-year-old kid, no fucking
yeah,
way. I wouldn't be able to
nope.
put one person there. Maybe one person, like and that's it. Like I wouldn't be able to meet anyone else. And then the photo ops too. Like everyone's priced out. Like kids are for, like I got the on Saturday I got the David Howard Thornton Santa art. I mean that's $145. For a photo for that photo op. It's expensive. And same with Alec. Alec was like 100 and something for his photo op too. It's crazy. It's definitely insane. David Howard Thornton, though, yeah, he sold out 7 sessions. It ended up being for a Santa Art the Clown photo op, but we waited like an hour, which was like it was for a photo op. It was crazy how busy it was. But that was fucking awesome because I got to dress in my Santa Art costume. So the photo came out awesome, and I think we're gonna make a Christmas card out of it. So that was 100% worth it. Sam wanted to meet Catherine Newton. I personally didn't really have much interest in her. I mean, I like her movies and stuff like that, but I was kind of like whatever. But she wanted to meet her, and I didn't wait in the line for the autograph. I will say her autograph line wasn't as crazy as I thought it was going to be. I think Caleb met her at her table. I think he said he only waited like 30 minutes, which, pretty decent for pretty quick for her, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, she was extremely present and my God, like a absolute beauty, like in person, like beautiful, beautiful young woman there. And then who else did we get on? Oh, Alec Baldwin. Me and Sam dressed as a Maitland, so I thought that was really fun. And the photo came out. I dressed as Adam Maitland pretty much the whole day, just basically cosplayed as that, and it came out pretty good. And the photo was really good too. But I had a very good interaction actually with Alec Baldwin. He enjoyed the popcorn tin I brought. He got a kick out of that. But I asked him what his favorite horror movie was. I was like, yeah, we're at a horror convention. I was like, so what's your favorite horror movie? And Rosemary's Baby. So the man has good taste. He also said The Exorcist, but he also mentioned a movie I have never seen. I'll have to ask you guys. A movie called Seconds from the 60s. So he gave me a whole spiel on this movie Seconds. He said it was fantastic and to definitely check it out. We did attend his panel on Saturday as well. No Beetlejuice talk like whatsoever at his panel. But he was great, man. What a storyteller. He was well, I'll get into it. He was probably my second favorite panel of the weekend. But man, he talked a lot of Saturday Night Live. He talked a lot of The Departed with Scorsese, working with Scorsese. Random Cat in the Hat questions from the audience. So there was like a whole 10-minute thing on Cat in the Hat as well, which I found to be pretty random. But yeah, no, he was a really, really great stuff. He also talked about like his Trump impersonation and how that all came to be and stuff like that too. So yeah, he was a really good panel. And then, but probably my favorite panel the entire week was the Eli Roth panel, just because man, he's just a horror fan through and through, and talked about how he got into film. And man, honestly, like one of my favorite things I got out of this weekend was both Damian Leone and Eli Roth both got questions about getting into filmmaking and stuff like that. And obviously with us getting ready to make a movie, I found that stuff to be really interesting on both of their sort of, advice on stuff like that, and like how sort of you should approach, directing your first short and stuff like that, and all that. So I thought that was great. And yeah, I think that was pretty much the whole weekend. So once again, Monster Mania 61 in Oaks, Pennsylvania. I would definitely recommend the Oaks, Pennsylvania. They do it every single November. I'll definitely be back next year. I loved it. Great location. And yeah, that's about it. Alrighty, gentlemen. I think it's time. Todd, bust out the books, baby. It's time for trivia.
Right, quarter number 4. I said quarter. It's quarter number 4. We are myself in the lead, 13. Joe, second place, 10. Steve holding up the rear at 6. We're in November, people. We're deep into November. It is November 12th as of this recording. Who's gonna take quarter number 4? You need to fucking watch your movie, Joe. You son of a bitch.
Seriously.
David
One of
at
these
2.
days.
I'm gonna make you watch it twice. I'm gonna hold your eyes open like Alex in the Clockwork Orange, make you watch it.
Nice.
Yeah. Well,
Or
I'm
Skimmerink or
also
something.
not 0-9 anymore in fantasy
Oh.
because I beat Todd this week,
Yeah,
baby.
you know what? Cut that, Steve. Cut that. It's funny. It's that like you beat me, but you were also eliminated from
Right.
the playoff
Yeah.
contention. I'm like, you
First
fucking
person.
bitch. But all right. So who would like to lead off?
Christian McCaffrey comes back and I win a game. I mean,
Shocking.
no.
That's how it works, man. Fucking fantasy football. Steve's in the lead. Steve's in is it two-way tie right now?
Two-way tie, yeah.
With our buddy Raining Blood, Asa.
Yep, Asa. Yep.
Nice. Good guy.
Yes. All right, I'll start.
All right.
Guess the movie
Oh.
based off the supporting cast. So I'll give everyone except the main cast member because it's too much of a giveaway.
I'll try,
You guys ready?
I guess.
Louise Fletcher.
I know that name. I know
It's,
the name.
Nurse Ratched.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
George
R.I.P.
P. Wilbur.
He was Michael Myers.
Correct. Art
Interesting.
Carney.
Um,
George C. Scott.
oh,
George C. Scott.
Martin Sheen.
oh.
Martin
This
Sheen.
is all cast from a movie?
Yep.
Let me get to guess the movie. Okay.
And the last one I'll give, Heather Locklear.
Wow.
Heather Locklear.
So
back in
I'm
90s.
it's just one cast member that I'm omitting because it'd be way too much of a giveaway.
Martin Sheen, huge actor. Heather Locklear, huge actress.
George C. Scott?
I'd say pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. It's gotta be something either super mainstream or super like earlier in their careers where it
Who
didn't
else?
really
Can
matter.
you? All right. Who else was in here?
Louise Fletcher, George P. Wilbur, Art Carney,
Hmm.
George C. Scott, Martin Sheen, and Heather Locklear.
Wow.
So you're right on kind of both fronts there, Todd. I mean, it's not. I mean, Martin Sheen and George C. Scott and Art Carney were all, I guess, older at this point. But
Established.
yeah,
I'm not familiar with Art Carney.
if you saw him, I'm sure you'd recognize
Okay.
him. Yeah,
Is it? I'm gonna throw one out there. Is it Mars Attacks?
wrong. Good guess though. I could see where you're
Because
going.
Yeah.
it's ensemble, a lot of
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
I got nothing, man. Do we have years? Can we get
Yeah,
guesses? I'll
I
give
think-
Todd can guess again.
Thank you, thank you.
I think this is early 80s.
Early
80s.
80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
I
guys
got
give
nothing.
You guys give up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Day of the
1980.
Animals.
Yeah. So the name I was omitting was Drew Barrymore. It is 1984's Firestarter.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Don't
not
know it
gonna
well.
lie. Even if you said Drew Barrymore, I still don't even know.
Oh,
if I
really?
would've got- I
I
don't
think I
know.
would have guessed that just based on
Maybe
She didn't do
yeah.
that many
Her name.
movies.
No,
in
she
the early
didn't. I
80s.
probably would have guessed like
E.T.
E.T.
like Cat's Eye, right? She was in
Oh, it
Cat's
could have
Eye,
been
right?
Cat's Eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. You want me to go
Yeah,
next?
sure.
All right. Three
He asked the question. That's
Yeah.
three letterboxd reviews.
Ooh,
Can you guess the movie?
I'll do my best.
All right. Number one. One of the best horror remakes I've ever seen. I guess you could say it was mind-blowing.
Hmm.
Interesting.
All
Okay.
right. Number two. I thought microwaves only worked when closed. What the fuck?
That's true. What is that from?
And number three. Whoa, this was so brutal, sad, gruesome, and terrifying. I could have done without some of the more graphic scenes, but I pretty much liked everything I saw. The kills were insane. Exploding a head in a microwave is kind of genius. An excellent horror remake, even though I haven't seen the original.
I feel like this is super easy to a lot of people right now,
Yeah.
but not me.
I can even picture a head blowing in a microwave, and I can't fucking remember what it is.
It's a remake.
Yeah, the remake, I think, is what's like kind of fucking me up here. I don't know.
I was
This movie came out in the year 2009.
2009. I was alive then.
Yes.
Shoot.
I'm
No
just gonna
clue.
throw one out there. Cabin
Sure.
Fever.
Incorrect.
Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. 2009 remake. Definitely wasn't a remake for Cabin Fever. Except for that stupid new remake they did of it. Halloween 2. I'm just throwing it out.
Incorrect. The correct answer is
One more guess.
sure.
Do it.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Incorrect.
That would have been
But
too easy.
you're on the right track there, because it's the remake of Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left.
I don't
remember the
covered
microwave.
that too. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a good remake though.
It was.
Remember we all enjoyed it for what it was, I guess.
Mhm.
All right, a movie we covered recently,
Oh.
which is the Hills Have Eyes remake.
Hmm.
Doug, the cell phone salesman, kills Pluto by stabbing him through the neck with what?
A pickaxe?
Incorrect.
Shit.
I don't know. A shard of glass.
Incorrect. You guys like one more guess?
Sure.
I can see a lot of people from other areas of the world rolling their eyes.
Oh.
Oh, an American flag.
Correct.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Let's go. Let's murder them with American flags. I'm here for
Yeah.
it. Let's go Veterans Day,
Yeah.
baby.
All right. Guess the movie based off the IMDb parental guide. We start with some sex and nudity.
Mhm.
After Glazer gets up to leave Sally, you see his bottom.
It is The Burning.
Correct.
Yeah. You know why? Because Glazer's a character in my movie.
Oh, there you go.
Based off of that, based off of him.
Although I'm very
Nice.
disappointed, I didn't even get to the part where I say in a brief shot of his penis.
I still love when we were talking about dude from Seinfeld pretending like he was gonna take off his shirt, but clearly he wasn't.
Oh my God, yeah, George
Wait,
Costanza.
yeah, bitch, you're not jumping in the water. Are you fooling?
Alrighty. Match the character to the movie.
Hmm.
And tonight's character is Reverend Zombie.
Zombie.
Reverend Zombie. I will say he was
Oh, is
is
it
a franchise, and
oh,
he was in quite a few movies in this franchise.
not what I was thinking.
Quite a few
I
movies.
was gonna say this isn't my guess. I was gonna say Serpent in the Rainbow, but that's not a franchise.
Okay.
So
No.
Nope.
Reverend Zombie. I feel like the zombie's like kind of misleading here.
yeah.
Let's go with Final Destination.
Incorrect.
Dang it.
I'm gonna go with holy Christ. I don't have a fucking clue.
The franchise stars a horror icon. Many horror icons, I would say, actually.
Okay, great.
Any horror icons? Reverend Zombie. Oh, it's Hatchet.
It is Hatchet.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That is correct. And Reverend Zombie, played by the
Tony
late,
Todd.
great
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. Rest
Which
in
we will
peace.
cover in another episode
Next week.
in honor of him. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big one, man. 69 years old.
Oh,
Are you
man.
going to play? Sam actually had a great suggestion about playing the interview again
I could.
for that
Yeah,
episode. Yeah.
sure.
As like in remembrance.
Yeah. So we can hear you say
My
your mistake.
fuck up again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I need what the item is and who it belongs to.
Okay.
In A Violent Nature, we covered it.
Yes, we did.
What item is Johnny trying to get back that set this whole movie in motion?
Is it his mask?
No, it's
Incorrect.
necklace.
Oh,
Okay, I'll allow the item, but who it belonged to?
His mother?
Correct. A locket, same thing.
A locket. Yeah.
Mother.
I like the
Yes.
fake one. How's it going?
The fake one?
Yeah, he finds the necklace he thinks is.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
The guy the redneck
Yeah.
has. Yeah.
So my theme tonight was all fire related like titles in honor of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So this one Todd
Nice.
probably has an advantage in, but
No.
I like it.
one of my favorite categories too,
Ooh.
American geography.
Oh.
In which state does the events of Fire in the Sky take place?
Mm.
Oh. Do I have an advantage because it takes place in Kentucky?
Wrong. No, you have advantage because you're the one who wanted to watch it and make us review it.
I was gonna say because
It is not
Joe's
Kentucky.
also American, so
It's definitely like a small middle.
I'll try again once this guy goes.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't know why I want to say New York, but I'm going to say New York.
It's wrong. So I'll give you
Is
guys
it-
one more guess.
Is it Washington?
Wrong. Good guess.
I
It's
feel like
wrong.
Washington's close, actually, now that you say that. Oregon.
Wrong. It is actually Arizona.
Arizonia. This is how we talk in Arizonia.
We just watched a documentary on Netflix about an alien abduction in New York that happened in like the 80s or 90s. And it follows like the lady who claims she got abducted and also like a skeptic. It was all right. Decent if you're into alien abduction stuff. I think it was called like Abduction in Manhattan or something like that.
Okay.
But anyway. All right. Guess the movie based on the IMDb information.
Okay.
This movie was released in the year 2005 with a PG-13 rating, clocking in at 1 hour and 37 minutes. Categorized as supernatural horror, comedy, horror, and mystery. I'm also negating a category because I feel like it'd be given away, maybe.
Sure.
Currently rated at a 5.1 out of 10 over on IMDb with a Metascore of 31 out of 100. Cast. We have Portia de Rossi, Maya, Shannon Elizabeth.
Jack Frost?
Incorrect. Joshua Jackson,
Ah,
Derek Mears, Nick Offerman
Love him.
and Judy Greer. Writer, Kevin Williamson. Tagline, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think Steve has it.
I can't say anything.
Doesn't kill you, makes you strong. I got a lot of cast of characters here. Judy Greer, who I think is a babe. Let's be
Who?
honest here. Judy Greer,
Yeah.
Hollywood,
So is Nick Offerman.
total babe,
Yeah.
total man babe.
Maya
2005,
too.
Maya babe.
Mhm.
I don't know. Steve, go ahead.
No, I don't know. I was just trying to
Oh.
play with your head.
Trying to play with my emotions, Smokey.
I'll give you another
I
cast
thought it
member.
might have been something else, but no.
I'll give you another cast member. Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh,
Oh,
it's cursed.
It is cursed.
Cursed, yeah.
Correct. Negated, of course, Christina Ricci, and I also
Yeah.
negated werewolf horror.
Still
for
haven't
my
seen
category.
Curse. Still haven't seen
It's
it, even
actually
though we
pretty
did a
good.
retrospective.
Yeah. It was probably one of the biggest like surprises of that retrospective. Well, I mean, other than Fireworks Woman, but
Yeah.
All
I heard like
right.
Skeet Ulrich had like a big role in it, and like his role was completely cut out. Apparently, like that movie was just
Really?
a mess. Obviously, yeah. I read like a whole thing on IMDb
pretty
about
cool.
it. Yeah, there's a director's cut out there somewhere. I feel like, or it's been talked about, but I don't know if he'll ever see the light of
I don't
day.
think there's enough interest out there.
Yeah,
You never know with these boutique labels now. Getting
Yeah.
That's true.
yeah.
but
Like-
Wes Craven's Estate's probably, well, I guess whoever owns that film though, probably New Line, I'd imagine.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. All right, last up here, The Substance. We watched it last week.
Seen it.
Oh, yes, we did.
What is the name of Elizabeth's workout show?
Ooh,
Oh, Christ.
Come on,
Good.
girls, you got it.
it's a good question.
Do the hip. Do the hip thrust. Do the hip thrust. Do the leg bend backward thingy. Do the air hump. Do
Sweating
the
to the oldies.
do the toe stretch. You got it. Yeah, you got it. I used to watch those when I was a young man for various reasons.
I feel like it was something like power
Got it.
training.
Pump
You
it
got
up.
it. Nope. No to both. Any other guesses? Has to do with her name. That's the only hint you get. You
Oh.
got it. Come on now. You got it.
Let's sparkle.
You were very close.
I don't know, Power Sparkle.
No. The correct answer is Sparkle Your Life. You got
Oh,
it.
nice.
You got it. Good movie. It sat with me, and it's I'm at the solid 4 now.
It's rising up. huh?
Officially there.
It's right up, yeah.
Nice.
And an
Sam
amazing
actually-
discussion.
Sam grabbed, I think, some substance items from the con this weekend. I think
Oh,
some
cool.
like stickers or pins or something. Yeah, there's some stuff
Nice.
out there. Yeah.
All right.
Shit. I'll ever show you later. I think she bought one of the fucking coolest brain dead like pins I've ever seen in
Oh,
my
really?
life. It's
Nice.
just so cool. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Ready for the scores. Tonight
Yes.
is myself 3, Steve and Joe tied at 1 apiece, which brings us to quarter number 4. Myself in a commanding lead of 16, Joe 11, Steve 7. All right.
Alrighty. Thank you, gentlemen. Anyone's game. And that leads us into our main event of the evening, 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Starring Johnny Depp, John Saxon, Ronnie Blakely, Amanda Wyss, Sue Garcia, Heather Langenkamp, and of course, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Directed by the late, great Wes Craven. Plot. Teenager Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer with a bladed glove in their dreams, in which, if they die, it kills them in real life. It's pretty good, IMDb. Pretty good. Pretty good, as one Larry David would say. But Todd, I think you can do even better.
Oh, thank you. Let me give the old college try here. So we meet and we see dickhead Freddy Krueger as he's making his stupid little knife hand that makes zero sense. One, you ever try hitting something with your fingers outstretched and you stub your finger? That hurts. There's no way his little bitch ass is gonna shove that through a Jason Voorhees, as we see in Freddy versus Jason later on in the franchise. But let's go back a little bit. We see him making his little knife hand. We get the title screen, Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we cut to a young lady that we will learn as Tina. She's running around in this haunted dreamscape, and Freddy Krueger, this little piece of shit, is chasing after her. She wakes up, right? And then we lead into meeting a cast of kids, Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, Tina, all the characters Joe already mentioned, right? And it turns out they're all having similar dreams about some fucking weirdo in their dreams chasing them around. Really creepy, dank basements, really weird, everything's dripping wet, fucking there's smoke everywhere, and they're scared, man. Like no one's believing me. Mom thinks I'm fucking losing my mind. I can't tell her shit. My dad's a cop. I can't tell him anything. He thinks I'm fucking on drugs. All right. Later on, it turns out, and we learn this way later in the film, towards the end of it, that Freddy Krueger was a child killer back in the day that Heather and her friends' parents all fucking murdered. They lit him on fire and killed his ass because although he was arrested, the American justice system failed people and he got off on a technicality. So the parents were like, nah, we're not doing that. We're taking justice in their own hands. We killed his ass, but oh, Freddy's back. He wants revenge in the form of killing their children. So now we're following along with Heather, Johnny Depp, other characters as they're trying to figure out how to defeat Freddy, who the fuck Freddy even is. Don't fall asleep because you're gonna die. I'm gonna tell my dad he's a cop. Dad doesn't believe me. I got this friend that's framed for the murder of his girlfriend. No one believes him, motherfucker. You killed her, not some dream guy. And then we follow along as that goes on. Obviously, seen this film, I can't even count, a bunch of times. I'm not the biggest Freddy Krueger fan. I think this is the best film in the franchise by far because, for one reason, it's still scary, right? Freddy's still, he's in your face. He's not doing little wisecracks. He's not trying to be cute and funny. He is fucking terrifying. The visuals in this film are awesome, man. When you're above the bed coming out, you're stretching out that fucking fabric, whatever they did to pull off that effect, really cool. And then the remake, this CGI looks like shit. Um, you have my favorite scene in the entire film, Tina's body's being drugged in the body bag through the school. So fucking cool. So you have all those really cool effects. You have all the really cool scenes. Freddy Krueger is scary. He looks creepy. He looks good. Robert Englund's awesome. Heather Langenkamp, not the best actors. We had exposed to Johnny Depp as his first role, and just fucking cool, man. Super scary, still effective, and I really dig it. And I'm sure you guys do too, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, what can you say? I mean, 40 years later, and we're talking about this movie because it is one of the most important movies in horror history, really. Yeah, man, it put Wes Craven. I mean, he was up and coming at the time, but this one obviously really put him on the map as being sort of a master of horror. And it's because of Freddy Krueger, man. Like, Freddy Krueger still is just as iconic now as he was then. I mean, you still on Halloween night, you still see a million Freddy Kruegers out there. You see that red and green striped sweater, and I mean, it just fucking speaks to you. You know exactly what it is. And yeah, and this movie is great. I mean, it's amazing. I love it. Obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street is one of my favorite franchises. Freddy Krueger is one of my favorite horror villains. And it's just because of the originality of it all. Like, we hadn't seen anything like this until Freddy Krueger showed up, Killing someone in your dreams is just such a cool idea. Because you can't escape it. Like, everyone's gonna sleep, right? And just like the ideas it lends to sort of all of the fun sort of stuff you can do in the dreamscape, which I mean, I think this movie tackles it probably the best, like Todd said. I mean, granted, like, they did cooler stuff in the later movies, but Freddy, like Todd said, Freddy here is at his scary. And in part two, he's, 1 and 2 is where Freddy obviously is at his absolute darkest and scariest. And then obviously he started becoming a little more zany in the later movies. But man, this one is so good. And because of what Todd said, of all of the sort of memorable and iconic scenes that you remember in this movie, and you could really go through so many of them that are just so incredibly memorable. And I know we will get into them, but Yeah, man. I mean, to me, it's a damn near, perfect horror movie. Are there some issues with it? Of course. Because it is still at the end of the day, it was a low budget, horror movie for the most, yeah, but I mean, it's great. I mean, it surprised. I was looking at the budget. It's actually higher than I expected based on what IMDb is telling me, but still low budget for in comparison to other movies that were coming out back then. But yeah, man, it's awesome. I fucking love it. Obviously, I mean, I have a Freddy Krueger tattooed on me, so what more can I say?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, this movie, is great, very important to horror history, one of the most iconic movies and villains of all time. A movie I've seen a bunch of times over the years. So I really kind of focused on this review at looking at like, I guess more of the details than I normally would, and that's where I'm gonna try to spur a lot of discussion because there are a few issues in the movie that I spotted. I'm sure people have spotted them in the past, but things that I want to discuss. But overall, as a movie, though. I love it. It's scary. It's easy to watch. The runtime's good. The characters are all really well done. The fucking kills are brutal as fuck, and I love that. I think Todd mentioned the fact that they had to back then, but they went practical with the thing, like the rubber kind of wall and the bathtub scene, and turning rooms upside down to get the blood. Like they really had to be smart about how they did their effects, and that's all shit that people are too lazy to do now, and they'll all do CGI, and it's just cool to see kind of that ingenuity that Wes Craven did in the early '80s. But yeah, I appreciate this movie for sure. But it does bear a few questions, and I'd like to discuss them. First of all, why did he decide that Springwood should be in Ohio when it is so fucking clearly in California in this movie? I mean, the fucking palm trees all over the place. The license plates say California. I just never really understood that retcon. Like, why couldn't it be in California?
Just like Halloween, it's clearly not in the fall, and it's clearly not in back east either. It's like I don't know.
Did, did they say Springwood, Ohio in this one though, or has it become Springwood, Ohio like in the
I think it's
sequels?
in the sequels because I really
Yeah,
tried to find a place where they mention it and they don't.
yeah.
It's just like I just never really understood. Like, just roll with it. It doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it was Craven's decision to make it Ohio. I could be totally wrong about this, but I remember him picking Elm Street because he said like every town has an Elm Street, right? So he wanted it to be sort of like it could be anyone's neighborhood. But yeah, I don't know why they ever decided to go with Ohio. It's a great question. I'm sure there's an answer for it out there somewhere, but it could be as simple as someone like one of the directors later was like, "Oh, I'm from Ohio, so let's just make it Springwood, Ohio."
Do you guys get the vibe that Rod is a borderline sexual predator and abusive to Tina?
Oh, abusive, absolutely.
Definitely abusive for sure. Yeah.
Guy's a
Sexual
piece of
predator. I
shit.
mean, he's very forceful, that's for sure. Is he actually predatory towards other women? I don't know. I mean, there's no
Right.
actual indication of that, but he's definitely not a good dude. I mean, they portray him as being a nice guy, like deep
He's
down,
not.
but he's not. Like, and his death is
Yeah.
just like kind of, yeah. I don't know. I was never
Oh
taken aback
no.
by his death.
Anyway,
Yeah, like it never really affected me, and it
Yeah.
still doesn't.
you know
Yeah,
what I
like
like?
I don't
Okay.
think they ever, sorry. I never like yeah, I don't think they ever portrayed Rod as like uh, he was kind of like a friend, but he was also like a douchebag a lot of the time too. So I agree. Like I don't his death it was like okay, yeah,
Yeah, they
good
almost
for
should
them.
have made Johnny Depp
It was
the
that's a cool scene though,
framed
by the
one.
way, too.
Oh, when he's getting hung.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Freddy sort of coming in and making it look like a suicide in the jail cell. That was a pretty
Right.
cool scene.
I
They
always
should have made Johnny Depp what though, Todd?
I
Sorry, I
think
didn't
they
hear
should
you.
have made Johnny Depp the guy that got framed because we would have cared more because he was like the actual nice character. But I
Well,
get
Yeah.
Rod's like the bad boy and stuff like
I
that.
mean, to be fair, fucking Rod immediately fucking ran out of the house as soon as Gina died.
Yeah, true.
So it looked bad. Like I totally understand the police in this situation.
No, I absolutely do. Like you wouldn't believe anybody if they said she did that to herself. But
Yeah, he's
Mhm.
getting arrested either way though. He's fucked either way. You know what I mean? No one's gonna believe him. He's the
no,
only one in that
rightfully
room, and
so.
she's yeah, the bloody mess. I mean, he's going to jail one way or the other.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the fucking chief of police, also Heather's father, using her as bait for the fucking who they believe
Oh, that's
is a
right.
murderer. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll have my daughter walk to school, and I know for sure he's gonna try to talk to her. Like that's such a bad move. If he really is a killer, which is what we think he is, or they think he is. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So awful. And then what
Yeah,
about the fuck her letting Heather see him in the jail cell to talk to him? Like, what the fuck? Why is
Like
she in the back?
constantly, too. Like
Yeah,
she just has open access to him. Like,
yeah, to a murderer. Like
yeah.
zero
allegedly,
sense. Alleged murder.
allegedly. Justice system gotta let prove
They let Freddie
innocent
off. You
until
think they're
proven
letting Rod
guilty.
off?
No, Rod's fucked, man. He
You think?
even if Freddy doesn't kill him, he's going away for life for sure. Like, there's no other way. Like, no one's gonna be like, "Oh, Freddy Krueger did it," and it's like back then, especially, there was no DNA, like, so like or like fingerprint stuff, so they couldn't be like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, none of Rod's like stuff is like on any of this. But I mean, yeah, he's fucked,
So,
man.
okay, but did Rod, I don't remember, did Rod specifically tell the cops that Freddie did it? Or did he only tell his friends?
I think he
I
only
don't
told his
think,
friends.
yeah, I don't think he talked to the cops
So he
from
should have said something to the cops because literally the main cop killed Freddy Krueger. So if he would have said Freddy, you'd be like, oh, fuck. Like maybe that would have helped Rod. I don't
maybe,
know.
maybe. I still think like
He's
they would be
fucked either
like,
way.
yeah. How do you let him
But
off? Like, how do you
yeah,
release him? Be like, oh no, he's innocent.
I mean, they released Freddy Krueger because they didn't sign a fucking paper, right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, did they ever like get into like the whole like how he got off? They just said
there's a
like
technicality in
they
paperwork.
said yeah, like someone didn't sign like a certain paper or something. Yeah,
Yeah, stupid shit.
I think they do go into it more in Freddy's Nightmares, the TV series. There's a whole episode on it. I think it's like actually the pilot episode.
But imagine from Rod's perspective, Tina's death, dude. Like her getting
Horrifying,
dragged across the ceiling
horrifying.
and it's terrible.
It's literally nothing. I mean, it's fucking obviously one of the best scenes in the entire movie. I think it's the best death in the movie, right? I mean, a lot of people say Johnny Depp's death, but it happens so fast, and but Tina's is horrifying. I mean, no one, and the thing, it's so inventive. Like, I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure maybe stuff like there was some stuff like that happening in the 70s and 80s, but the fact that like they just sort of you know it's just all camera tricks, right? Like, I mean, it's fucking awesome, and it just works so good. And it looks great, and the fucking blood smearing, and even like obviously everything's done in this movie is all practical effects. Her, you know, stomach getting done by the finger blade doesn't look great. It doesn't look great there. It looks a little fake, but man, it's just like just the brutalness of it all, and yeah, Rod screaming her name and oh man, it's brutal. And Tina is such a likable character,
I like it better
Yeah,
than Heather, man, if we're being honest.
Me too.
I
sure.
think, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just
Honestly,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, wow. I wonder like how would this she's probably a better actress too, right?
I would
Like it's
agree. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I wonder
Maybe they
how this
wanted
franchise
Heather's
would have
big,
went.
doughy blue eyes. Maybe that's what they're
How
going for.
how would this franchise have went had it
Mhm.
been Tina instead of Heather? I don't think much would have changed.
Nah,
I think
exactly the
I
same
think
way.
Tina would have a longer line now at cons rather than Heather.
Yeah,
But
it would just be
yeah,
more financially beneficial for her.
yeah.
How about Nancy's mom pounding vodka at like 7 a.m.?
That she
I
keeps in the fucking
I mean,
in
the
Yeah,
hardcore alcoholic, man. Yeah,
in a linen closet. Yeah.
yeah.
hardcore alky, man. Is the dad ever
Hey, you
home,
know
by the
what?
way, either? Like, you never see the
I
father
think
like
they
at
were
home with the
divorced,
mother.
right?
Were they
That's what
divorced? Were they split up?
the vibe I got was they were
Yeah.
separated. That's the
Yeah, me
vibe I
too.
got.
Were they?
Okay.
Okay. Are we
Because
sure
he went
about
up to her,
that?
he said like, uh, whatever her fucking name is, Judy, and then he turned like to
Yeah.
Nancy, yeah, at
Okay.
the police
Yeah,
station.
he's not there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He had enough of her alky ways.
Oh my
Do you
God,
think she
what?
became an alky because they killed Freddy though, or
For
It's very
sure.
that
possible.
to be assumed? Yeah. Like she can't like the guilt of killing. Like I don't know. Like do you think what the parents did is wrong? Like I
Justified?
don't know,
I
Todd.
don't
Like
know.
if like someone like killed your kid, would you like be like fucking street
I would,
justice? Let's
yep,
go. Like
yep. No, no
yeah,
question, man. If he got off
yeah,
on some, yeah, if he was on the street, he'd be dead. So yeah,
hmm
same thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
So what the parents did was right,
I guess 99% of the
99%
parents would
street
agree with me,
justice.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah. Be the same thing like if someone hurt your mom, you would probably kill him.
Hmm.
So I mean, what do we talk about? I mean, it's Lin Shay. She's in it as a
Yeah.
teacher. She's a doll. I
And
fucking love Lin Shay. She's so sweet. I would love just like her to tell me stories and drink coffee or something.
and
She'd be a delight.
shout out to those 40-year-old high school students. Like,
Sure,
holy
looking good.
fuck, dude! Like, what in the scene where Nancy's like kind of dreaming there about Tina, Nancy looks kind of maybe around a late teen, early 20s, but the other ones, holy fuck, man, they're like straight up 40s. It's like it was crazy.
Remember
God,
how old
people,
she was when they filmed this?
probably
Which
Seriously.
early,
one?
probably 20
Lin
or
Shaye?
Heather. Heather.
Oh, she was pretty young, man. I feel like she was definitely a teenager, like when she filmed this.
She was 20 years old when they filmed, and she was supposed to be 15.
20, okay. 15, really?
15,
I
that's
guess
a little
so.
young. I
So they
thought she
were,
was a
God.
junior.
so what were they? They were like sophomores then in high
Yeah,
school
yeah,
or something like that?
that's
It's around there.
weird.
Interesting. Yeah, man. I mean, I guess I kind of want to get into sort of like how she decides she wants to defeat Freddy. Although, like, I think there's a lot of other stuff you can tackle throughout. I mean, obviously, like the first encounter with Freddy she has is amazing with the arms sort of stretching.
See,
Um,
I never like that.
you
I
never
don't
like
either.
that?
I don't either. Yeah.
For two reasons. One, I don't find the arm stretch looks good, and two,
Yes,
when Freddy like runs after her, it looks like
His
he's
goofy
very
walk.
short.
he has a turd in his
He's
pants, and he's
he's
like, it's like it never. I never liked that. I liked every other Freddy
I like
appearance,
the arm
but that
stretch.
one.
I love how you
Yeah.
put turd. I just put goofy walk. You did turd in pants.
The
I love
turd,
it.
yeah,
I like the arm stretch, but I think what's more memorable of that scene is the "This is God."
yeah. That's a
You
good. Oh
know,
yeah, and that shot,
quote,
like
which is
I,
fucking
yeah.
terrifying, and yeah, it's a great shot of him.
Hmm.
But yeah, then the running towards her is really fucking goofy. I agree. And he looks like he's like a almost like a small person. Like it's just like a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
He
weird
looks like a gorilla trying to run like a man.
shot. Yeah,
Does,
yeah, it's a
does it
little
throw you guys off that they call him Fred a lot in this movie? Because they really don't in the rest of the
Fred.
series. They
Yeah,
really
they call
call
him
him
Fred
Freddy.
Krueger. Yeah.
Yeah, and she calls him Fred almost the whole movie. It's very little that she calls him Freddy, and it just
Mhm.
feels weird. And the fact that his like sweater is also different, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're filling the character out still, which
yeah,
Also, we gotta mention too, like you don't find out anything about this guy until like what, like
like
an
an
oh,
hour in.
hour plus into the movie. Like you have no
yeah,
idea who the fuck this guy even is, you know?
And mom's
Like
keeping the glove. What's up with that?
yeah, in the
It's
boiler.
weird.
Well, you're hiding the evidence. They're hiding like that they
Just
killed him,
I
I guess, right?
guess.
Like
Well, yeah, but dad
she
was
took it's like
fucking
a trophy,
sheriff.
right? She
yeah.
took like a trophy, like essentially, like, hey, we fucking killed him. Like
Yeah, I guess.
she wanted that trophy. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Like you would keep that trophy, but like, yeah, it is kind of bizarre, huh? Like
Yeah. So Nancy defeats Freddy through the power of bullying, essentially. Like she bullies him into
yeah, that's like where like
losing.
like I don't love the like as much as I love this movie, I don't love like I love the idea of being able to pull him out of the dream, like right, and like bringing him into the real world, which I think is really cool. Which we find out, when she pulls the hat out to begin with, which I thought was a really fucking cool scene where she has the hat and she realizes like I can pull stuff out of my dream.
Yeah, but although
Uh,
speaking of the hat, isn't it weird that Freddy can pretty much conjure anything in his dreams except his hat? Like, can he just conjure a new hat? Like, I never
you would think he
understood.
could.
Yeah, no, it's nitpick.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, man, I love that she's able to like pull him out of the dream. But then it gets like a little goofy with all the
Yeah,
fucking
the
like
Home
Home Alone
Alone
house
traps.
traps
Yeah.
that like she has set up for him. I don't know. I just think they could have come up with like something a little better because it gets fucking a little goofy. But I mean, I love when she tries running up the stairs and she falls through the stairs, which is fucking cool as hell. That looks like fucking oatmeal or whatever they used. I think it
Was
was like
she in the
oatmeal.
dream? Was she dreaming then?
No, I don't
Then
think so. I think
how did he
Freddy's
do
like able. I think Freddy's able to sort of. I mean, he still has supernatural
breaking the
powers.
rules, Freddy,
I think
of
he's
your own
able.
movie?
I think he still has like those supernatural powers, regardless if he's in the dream world or not. So I think he's able to sort of do some stuff. And then the mom dies, which is talk about a really fucking bizarre scene. How she just like sinks into the bed, like when he kills the mom. That's such a bizarre scene to me as
Yeah,
well.
because Freddy's on fire and he
On
lays on
fire,
her
yeah.
and
She sets
takes
him
her.
on fire. Yeah.
It's goofy, man. That whole ending's a little goofy, man.
It's definitely a little goofy. But yeah, and then she defeats him by
Bullying his ass, dude.
I mean she doesn't really bully him.
She's
It's
like,
more
I'm not afraid
it's
of you.
like you're not going to like basically like control me, like take like, like basically it's like if you don't believe in him, he's feeding off the power of their fear, right? So if like she doesn't fear him or just ignores him, then he has no power because it's in the dream world. Even though she pulled him out of the dream world, really. So like he should be like, but
Yeah, he should be
yeah.
fucked in the real world, right?
Yeah, but then he just sort of disappears because like she doesn't give him that fear and power. I mean, that's sort of what they go with, right? He's like feeding off the fear of the children. So if the children aren't fearing him, then he's nothing.
Yeah, which reminds me
Yeah.
of, we talked about a long time ago, probably when we did the Nightmare 3 and 4 episode, where was it Kevin Smith that wrote a Nightmare on Elm Street treatment where
Oh, that's
kids
right. Yep.
were no longer afraid of Freddy,
I think it was part
and
6.
yeah, and then they were
Yeah.
like taking drugs to go see Freddy and basically bully him because no one feared him anymore, and Freddy
Yeah.
lost all his powers. I thought that would have been a cool
That's so funny.
sequel. Yeah, but and that kind of I guess stems from this, where if you don't fear him, he has no power. I do want to talk about one scene that really bothers me. I don't know why. It's when Nancy goes into the dream world and she like communicates with Johnny Depp's character, and he
Oh,
like pops
yeah.
out of a tree and he's like talking to her and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
that makes no
That's
fucking sense.
it
It's
made no sense.
because
But
he's awake.
unless that's to tell us that he's already dreamed, like he already
Yeah,
had already fallen asleep,
yeah, maybe
you
I don't
know?
know. It's just he just like pops out of a tree like he's a fucking like
Right.
it's a weird scene.
I took that as like, oh, he's already fallen
He's
asleep
already
because
asleep,
he's like in the dream, you know? So like he didn't stay awake, which
right?
yeah. So that's kind of how I took it.
Hmm.
Can we talk about that very ending?
The dream sequence.
Yeah, the car. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the ending's a dream.
Craven didn't want this ending, by the way.
Right.
Okay.
This was like
So
complete studio interference.
fuckery.
Yeah.
So the ending is a dream, right? Or is it not? Like, what is it? Regardless of the rest of the series, if this is a standalone
Right.
film, what does this ending mean for the film?
To me, it's
I
that
mean,
Freddy won. Like he was
Freddy
never
won.
yeah.
really defeated, right? He kept Nancy in the dream the whole time and was just
Right.
basically just fucking with her,
Hmm,
and now he captured her, and the
okay.
end.
Yep. Yeah, that
Ah,
like Nancy's still in a dream and yeah, Freddy wins.
so the movie or the part where she takes him back in the real world never happens in the movie?
That's what I think. I
Yeah.
think it was all basically him fucking
It
with her.
was all a dream.
Yeah.
Fucking Freddy's a dick, dude.
Which kind of makes more sense if you think about it, because that's why he still has powers. That's why he's going
I
through the
like it.
like the stairs and everything. He was never
Hmm.
actually out of the
Marshmallow
dream.
stairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because when he pulls the mom through the fucking window, it's like
It's so goofy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I
So
like the
goofy.
car though. It's a pretty cool scene where they're all like, "I'm not
Yeah.
controlling it," and the car locks and
Yeah.
closes, and it's a Freddy colors.
The Freddy
It's pretty sick.
colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, really cool. But yeah, Craven, he didn't want I think he just wanted it to end at like the happy ending, like at the end
Mm.
where she fucking defeats him and that's it. And then they put in this last because they knew they were like, well, we need to keep it alive for a sequel, right? So they're like, let's
All right.
fucking film this
So,
ending.
so
I mean, but do you like this ending or would you have preferred sort of the she defeated him, like comes out the door smiling and like drives away with her friends
well,
without the sort of Freddy
what
ending they
does
give
what
us?
does this ending mean for the rest of the series then? Because Heather's alive in three, and well, she dies in three, but
Well,
she's
we
alive in
don't see her
three,
Right.
die in the dream, so she must have waken up at some point and then started,
and then Freddy just fucks off till
like yeah,
part
like
two.
start finding a way to repress her
Yeah.
dreams, like she
It's
does
kind of
with in part 3, right?
Repressio.
Yeah,
it is kind of bizarre how she didn't come back for part 2.
yeah.
I still like part two. I know you don't like it, Joe, and I don't know your
We're
stance on
we're,
Steve,
we're gonna have to review it at
we
some
have to
point.
cover that
I mean,
one.
we did
Yeah,
most
I'd
of
like to
the rest of the
cover it.
series at this point, so might as well
It's
finish it off.
definitely has some. It definitely has its great moments, for sure.
Yeah.
I just hate like they break like all the rules that they established in the
Right
first
away,
movie.
yeah.
Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy to me. Because Freddy does come out of that, fucking. He just
Right
like,
away.
yeah, like he doesn't. He like leaves the dream world and can just do whatever the fuck he wants,
Yeah, yeah.
and, without getting pulled out. Like it's just bizarre to me. Yeah, it's really weird. And then
We'll
the
cover
bird
that.
explosion, and that's a whole nother review though.
Yeah.
Bathtub scene though, fucking
Oh, so good.
iconic. Like
Oh yeah, it's so
that's
well
just
made too. Like, and
real.
the
It's
ingenuity
really
behind
like
it.
simple, like when you think about it. But holy shit, like did it work so fucking well? And yeah, of course, yeah. There's like a great behind the scenes shot of just like a guy's head like in the bathtub, like right in
Yeah, yeah.
between
Take
Heather
it, fucking
Langenkamp's
getting
like
air.
legs.
Did they
Yeah.
have a bigger bathtub then to film the scene? And it's just perspective for us is normal.
I don't believe
It's a whole
so.
pool under.
Is it
Oh, it's
how
a
they did
Yeah,
it?
pool.
There's a pool under
they
the
have an
thing.
entire
Okay.
like tank under the bath,
Super cool.
and he
Mhm.
just comes out and
Yeah.
Man, I love that shit. You know how much that costs just for like a 2 minute scene?
well,
It's
it's just
Yeah.
insane.
like spinning the
So
fucking
cool.
room around for the blood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and Tina's
Yep.
death too. It's yeah, it's like honestly, what they did is incredible in this movie. Like,
Mhm.
really, really. Like I'd put it this and Evil Dead as two of the films that were so smart about how they did their
Mhm.
effects in really kind of unique ways, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing to see.
for sure. Yeah. Amazing.
And
And
it,
yeah, the
Another
maestro.
thing I love that's dumb, but it's the Freddy phone. It just makes me laugh every
The
time. What
Freddy
the
phone's
fuck is it?
awesome.
Yeah, I know. I
Love it.
love the Freddy phone.
Fucking
It's so
great, man.
cool.
Iconic. Like you still see that at cons to this day, people making those, you know.
I was
Mhm.
gonna
But yeah,
say, do they
man,
have an official official like release of that? No,
no,
that'd be cool.
they don't. I mean, there's
A
go on
lot of people
Etsy.
make it.
There's
Yeah,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
Yeah,
people
people.
make. You can buy. I feel like you can pick one up for like 80 to $100, like a
not bad.
pretty good prop replica of it. Which I've seen a million people get Heather obviously to sign
Sure.
Yeah.
those prop
Can you hold
replicas.
it up to your face so I can take a picture?
Mhm.
Right. I mean, I would do that too. I mean, it's fucking
I know
awesome.
that's pretty
It's
fucking
fucking great. It's iconic, right? So most iconic scene in the movie, what would you say? Was it the bathtub scene probably?
I would say
Or
so.
iconic. Yeah, I guess. I mean, my favorite's still the carrying the body through the school. I think
Yeah,
that's really cool. But
but I
I
think
guess
iconic
iconic
yeah,
is
wise, yeah.
which we didn't even talk about that really, but that is a fucking that Tina body bag. I mean, it's fucking awesome.
although that the like the whole speech there after the arm stretch, like anytime they show Nightmare on Elm Street in a like film reel or a sizzle reel, it'll always be that one shot of him kind of putting his gloves towards his face, the blue
His
kind of
face,
hue.
yeah, with the
So
blue
Yeah.
hue, yeah.
that's a that's super iconic. Probably the most iconic shot that in the glove for sure.
They show Johnny Depp's death a lot too in
They do.
Well,
snippets.
it's so
Johnny
fucking
Depp.
like
I
unique,
think because it's
for the
Johnny
time.
Depp, right? And it
That
is
too,
unique.
yeah.
Yeah, that's another one where they fucking just right. It's like camera trick, like just flip the
Yeah.
room type thing, or
And shout out to Glenn for the effort he put into finding a reason to like not be home with the fucking tape and the fucking like sound effects and all that shit is he really went the extra mile to
Ferris
have to
Bueller's Day
have
Off
that night
shit.
off. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. And Glenn's jersey. Call if you for you Scream fans, Tatum is wearing Glenn's jersey
Mhm.
in
Oh, really? I
Scream.
didn't even
It's
know
like
that.
it's
Cool.
like they're wearing like the same exact like jersey. It's pretty
That's
cool.
sick.
Yeah, it's a cool little Easter egg that Craven threw in
Nice.
there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess the bathtub scene, but like, yeah, I mean, you're right. There's just so many iconic scenes in this movie. I mean, and that's why it's 40 years later. It's an absolute classic. Another great scene is the hall monitor where she's like, "Screw your past."
Which by the
It's
way,
ready.
she came to a con here
Yeah.
a couple months ago, $60.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
crazy.
that's just to show you like how fucking ridiculous. I
Right.
didn't go because of that. I was just like,
Yeah.
fuck you guys.
Yeah.
I completely skipped the entire con just because she was charging $60. Like that's how pissed I was about it.
I guess if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street completist, like, and
Oh,
really
Jesus.
wanting like to add her to a poster or
Well,
something, like,
they had
holy
a fucking Kincaid last year for like $40. Like I don't know,
yeah.
man. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I think Heather's up to 60 now, but I mean, understandable. Like, but imagine like Heather Langenkamp, the star of the
Yeah, right.
franchise, and then you
The
have
hall
fucking the hall
monitor
monitor
from
charging the same exact amount of money. It's
Wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, what more is there to say? I mean, it spawned an entire this movie spawned an entire
That's
franchise, and
way overdue for a fucking new one.
wait, right? Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, do you think we'll ever see another
At
Nightmare
some
on Elm
point.
Street at this point?
Yeah, we got it.
I just I'm at the point where I don't think Robert Englund will be involved.
No, Robert's done. Like, he's not coming
It's
back.
they it took too long.
Right. I don't know why. Like, why have they been sitting on their like? I
Well, it
know
was
there
a
was
rights
obviously
issue.
some problems with the Craven estate and
Yeah.
whatnot, but the rights did finally get back to the Craven estate. I heard Mike Flanagan has really been going hard at it, and Blumhouse especially.
Yeah. I think James Wan wanted to crack at it as
James
well.
Wan, yeah. I know Damien Leone's put his name in the hat
Yeah.
too. He like really wants to get
Like,
involved.
who wouldn't? Like that's like
Right.
the
Yeah. I mean,
mecca of franchises, you know?
Everyone loves Freddy. It's just like the amount of money I feel like
Oh,
after like with Halloween and Exorcist, like all these movies making like hand over fist the money. Like, why? What? I don't
Scream,
understand
like all
what
of
they're
them.
waiting for. Scream. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time, but I think it becomes like, well, if Robert's not going to do it, like, how is this movie going to
Right.
succeed, right? Because the fan base is it's Robert Englund or nothing, and
Yeah.
granted, like, I mean, the Never Ending Story remake did pretty well, like for its opening weekend, from what I remember. Like, I don't think it lost a ton of money. And
Right.
they were gonna make a sequel, and then it just never materialized. I think because they knew the fan base was like so against that remake.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know what they could do. I don't know what they could do that could make the fans happy at this point.
I'm just so
Um,
surprised they haven't tried,
yeah,
regardless.
right,
Like even if they're like, fuck the fans, we're gonna do something we want to do. I'm surprised no one has done it. Like it's just
right,
it's kind of wild to me that they're leaving this much money on the table because even a
right.
bad Nightmare on Elm Street would make money. That's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I heard Robert say like he could maybe do it where like
She's not
you
moving
know,
and like
where he's like not moving sort of thing, and they have some stunt actors
Steven
coming
Seagal.
in. He kind of gets like close up shots with him talking, and that's
Mhm.
sort of about it. And then it's all stunt actor work. I mean, it's doable, but I mean, yeah, the man's getting pretty old, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna do it with him, it's gonna, and
It's,
I don't even
it's
know
like
how good
now.
how good is it really gonna be? Like
Right.
with all the camera tricks and stuff they're gonna have to do with him. And you put him in that makeup though, he's still gonna look great. So I mean, he's done some in costume photo ops recently, like within the last couple of years, and he still fucking looks great as Freddy in that makeup. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. All right, gentlemen, let's get into rating this sucker. I'll start us off. I mean, yeah, it's an absolute horror classic. Um, I've never given this movie a 5 out of 5 though, just because I do think there are issues with it. As much as I fucking love this movie and I love this franchise, I can still see that it's definitely not a perfect movie. So I still give it a 4.5 out of 5, even after all these years, and still thinking it's still such an iconic movie, and I absolutely love it. If I'm gonna give it any sort of critical eye, I don't think it'd be fair to give it a 5 out of 5. So 4.5 out of 5 for me.
All right, yeah. Like I said, not the biggest Freddy fan, Nightmare on Elm Street fan in general. I think Freddy's a biatch. I give it a 4 out of 5. It's fine. It's got that kind of character. I recognize that he's a beloved character, things like that, and I do enjoy him. I just think he's the weakest out of Michael, Jason, Leatherface, and so on. So 4 out of 5. And did you guys know this made 25 million on a 1.8 million dollar budget? So
Very
smash
nice.
success in '84.
Oh,
1.8,
sure.
kind of a lot from 84 though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot in 84.
It's pretty high budget.
I'm with Joe on this one, 4.5 out of 5, just because it is amazing and an iconic film, but there are definitely some issues. I do think it's the best in the series, but it's not my favorite in the series. So it's still a good watch. One I watch every 2 to 3 years, I'd say, to this day. So I'd
Mhm.
probably watch it,
Sure.
easily 10, 15 times. And I'll continue to do that, once in a while. And it's one of the ones, this and three, I'll watch just like on their own. And
Yeah.
once in a while, like maybe every 5 years, I'll do, okay, I'll do the whole series. But
hmm
it's iconic and really good.
hmm So, is 3 everyone's favorite?
My
Like other
favorite.
than one, I
Nah,
guess.
my
Yeah.
mine's one. I don't love
One.
three either. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'd say yeah, I prefer as much as I love 1 and 3. There, I think they're pretty equal. But I mean, if someone's asking me, I think I'd go with 1 as well, just because it's really scary, Freddy, and he looks really cool in this one. All right, thank you, gentlemen. But what do our friends over at Letterboxd have to say about this movie? Let's see as I quickly was not prepared and is pulling it up. All right, our friends over at Letterboxd have it at a 3.7 out of 5. I actually expect it to be a little higher, if I'm being honest, but 3.7 out of 5 over on Letterboxd. All righty, gentlemen, thank you so much. That is going to wrap it up for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed our review of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Steve, what we got next week?
We talked about it a little bit earlier in the film, in the episode. We're going to do Hatchet in honor of Tony Todd, but this was actually the plan all along. So, in a fortunate or maybe unfortunate circumstance, because we are continuing with our perks that people purchased on our Indiegogo. This one was purchased by Eric, and he asked us to review Hatchet, and it just happens to have Tony Todd in it. So might as well make a little memorial episode as we do it. So Hatchet is the movie that we're going to review next week. So thank you, Eric, for buying the perk and supporting our little film.
Alrighty. Awesome. So yeah, 2006's Hatchet, directed by Adam Green, for next week. Yeah, I mean, kind of the perfect sort of tribute to Tony Todd, since we've already done Candyman and whatnot. So this was a franchise he also had a big part of. So yeah, once again, rest in peace to Tony Todd. We'll get into it a lot more on next week's episode as we remember him, the late great Tony Todd. Alrighty, folks. Once again, that is going to wrap up this episode. Don't forget, follow us on all of our socials: Facebook, Twitter. I keep calling it Twitter, but I guess I think it's safe to call it X these days. Facebook, X, Instagram, and Threads. Just search the Horror Squad Podcast. You can also email us anytime, thehorrorsquadpodcast@gmail.com. But the absolute best way to keep up with the podcast is our Discord, completely free to join, amazing community, tons of channels to get through. It's linked over on our Instagram, or you can send us an email or a DM. We'll get you a link to join the Discord. We got Movie Club every single month, which is coming up at the end of this month.
The last Friday of this month, we're going to do a Christmas themed Tubi movie, and I'm going to put up the vote. I usually wait till after the 15th of the month because people like things leave Tubi on the 15th. So once I know what's on Tubi after the 15th, I'll put up a vote on Discord, and that will be what we'll watch at the next movie club.
Awesome. So yeah, for Movie Club last Friday of every single month. Join Steve and a bunch of other fellow horror fans as we just watch horror movies and have a great old time doing it. Yeah, so Discord, completely free to join. Join us over there. Also, if you haven't left a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app, please do that. It helps the podcast get out there more in the world, so we would appreciate that. Tell your friends, tell your dog, tell your mailman, and tell them about the final episode. Our Indiegogo is now over, but we appreciate all of you that supported us and will continue to support us on our journey as we make this movie. So tell everyone about that. Perks will be going out closer to when the film gets released, but we'll keep you updated about the final episode pretty much every single week or whenever we have important updates to give you guys. Merch, tpublic.com, the Horror Squad Podcast. There's final episode t-shirts and sweatshirts and coffee mugs and everything over there, as well as a bunch of other Horror Squad Podcast merch over there as well. That's linked over on Instagram as well. And yeah, I think that's about it, folks. So we'll see you next week for Hatchet. Bye.
Bye.